What if everything you've ever worked for, your job, your savings, your home, was the very thing holding you back from the peace your soul's been searching for? We live in a world obsessed with more. More stuff, more goals, more noise. But there's a terrifying question we rarely dare ask. What if true fulfillment begins with giving something up, not gaining something more? If you're listening to this, stop scrolling. Put your phone down, get comfortable. Let the world outside fade just for a moment. Whether you're walking through a quiet park or stuck in traffic, tune in, not just with your ears, but with your heart. Because what you're about to hear is not content. It's an invitation to reframe your life entirely. This conversation between Arjun and Maya, two colleagues, two minds, one deeply human dialogue, is not about religion nor renunciation as you've seen it in movies. It's about understanding what we actually carry that silently destroys us and what happens when we let it go. By the end, you'll discover a version of yourself that's lighter, clearer, and deeply aligned. This isn't just a conversation. It's a psychological mirror. And maybe, just maybe, a roadmap out of the storm you didn't know you were drowning in.
Can I pick your brain about something a bit offbeat?
Always, especially if it's going to distract me from this death by spreadsheet afternoon. What's on your mind?
So, I was reading this section from one of the Puranas the other night. Completely random, I know. But it had this line, "For one who has given up his material sense enjoyment and has accepted the principles of devotional service, the opulence of Vishnu Loka is awaiting." And honestly, it just stopped me. Like, really stopped me. Who actually gives up material enjoyment today? And why would anyone even want to?
That's not random, Maya. That's cosmic timing, that is. You're poking into something most of us avoid because deep down we're scared it might be true. That maybe all this, the paychecks, the flat upgrades, the brunches, it isn't it. But let's unpack that line, yeah? When it says material sense enjoyment, it's not demonizing comfort or pleasure. It's about when that pleasure owns you, when your identity needs it. You ever notice how unsettled people get if they lose their phone or can't access social media for a few hours? That's the trap.
So it's not saying you can't have things, it's that your attachment to them is the problem.
Exactly. Think of it like holding a glass of water. It's fine until you grip it for too long. Eventually, your hand cramps. That's material attachment. You can enjoy something, but the second it defines your peace, you're chained to it. And that line about Vishnu Loka is not a carrot on a stick heaven metaphor. It's a symbolic way of saying, if you realign your life with something beyond ego and indulgence, you tap into a state of living that feels divine, even while you're still on earth.
That's kind of mad though, because we're taught the opposite. Work hard, make money, buy your dream stuff, and then you're happy. But it sounds like the scriptures are flipping that completely.
They are. And maybe that's why most people never feel content. They keep chasing what only stillness can give. Real joy, like proper peace, doesn't come from achieving, it comes from detaching.
That's a radical way to live though. I mean, we're in a culture where even minimalism's become a trend, but no one's actually giving up anything, just aestheticizing it.
Bang on. There's a difference between letting go and pretending you're okay without it while secretly missing it. What this principle teaches is total honesty. Like, can I exist without needing validation from things outside myself? And look, this is why some people, they go and live in places like Dwaraka or Jagannath Puri. It's not escapism. Those places carry a frequency, a saturation of devotional energy. In the Skanda Purāṇa, it says that even staying in Dwaraka for a fortnight could elevate someone spiritually. That's wild, right?
Wait, what do they mean by that though? How can just being in a place make you spiritually elevated?
Great question. See, in places like Jagannath Puri, the collective consciousness is different. When thousands of people gather to worship, serve, and love selflessly, the very vibe of the place shifts. The air holds something, and when you breathe it in, it nudges you inward. The Brahma Purāṇa even goes as far as saying that the demigods themselves perceive people in Jagannath Puri as four-handed, like those in Vaikuntha. Not literally, of course. It means they see that divinity is embodied there.
So even if you're deeply flawed, just being in that environment can transform you?
Absolutely. Because transformation doesn't start with perfection. It starts with exposure. Just like you get sun-kissed by standing in sunlight, you get heart-kissed by standing in those sacred places. But it's not just geography, it's practice. That's where things like accepting only what's necessary come in. The Naradiya Purana says that if you're serious about spiritual growth, you shouldn't take more than you actually need.
That hits differently. We hoard so much stuff, attention, ambition, because we think more means security. But if we're always managing more, when do we live?
Exactly. And here's the practical bit. It's not about renouncing everything overnight. It's about conscious reduction. For example, in devotional life, we're encouraged to chant Hare Krishna daily, ideally 100,000 names, but if you can't, don't quit. You adjust. Start with 16 rounds, and if you can't finish, you make it up the next day. That level of discipline, without guilt, but with integrity, that's what grows you.
So it's not perfection, it's consistency.
Right. Spiritual life doesn't punish you for being tired. It just asks you not to give up because of it. And that builds inner resilience like nothing else. That's why Ekadashi fasting is powerful. Not because skipping meals is trendy, but because it shifts your energy. The whole point of fasting isn't about suffering. It's about refocusing. You're reducing the noise of the body to hear the voice of the soul.
So on Ekadashi, the goal isn't just don't eat, it's don't distract.
Spot on. You pull back from bodily demands to pour into devotion. Chant more, meditate, serve, reflect. Ekadashi is like a spiritual detox. You're not just cleansing your stomach, you're cleansing your attention.
This is way deeper than I expected. I thought I was just asking about renunciation, but this is literally about how to live.
Exactly, Maya. And here's something even more overlooked. Offering water to the tulasi plant. Serving cows. Honoring brahmanas and Vaishnavas. These aren't symbolic fluff. These are subtle acts of service that align you with divine flow. Because when you offer respect, you're lowering your ego. And when your ego dissolves, you become a channel instead of a blockage.
Arjun, I've honestly never heard all this explained like this. It's like you've taken what sounds like some distant ancient verses and shown how they map onto our daily lives here in London, in the office, in the way we eat, think, scroll. But here's something that really made me uncomfortable. The section that says we should completely give up the company of non-devotees. That's strong, isn't it? I mean, we work with people from all kinds of backgrounds, right?
Yeah, it does sound harsh at first glance, but we got to look beneath the literal. It's not saying isolate yourself from society. It's what it's getting at is protecting your consciousness. Think of it like this. Your mind is like wet cement. Whatever impressions you allow near it, they stay. If you're constantly around people who mock faith, glorify greed, or live only for temporary highs, that becomes the soundtrack in your head too. And slowly, your inner compass gets jammed.
But what if someone's not spiritual yet still good-hearted? Like, I've got mates who don't believe in God or whatever, but they're kind, supportive, grounded. Are they also considered non-devotees?
Good question. And that's where nuance matters. It's not about being judgy or elitist, it's about energetic hygiene. Like choosing who you let shape your inner world. Exactly. And the texts get graphic for a reason. In the Katyayana Samhita, it literally says it's better to live in a cage of iron or inside a blazing fire than be in the company of those who are anti-God or spiritually toxic. I mean, that's an intense metaphor, but it hammers the point home.
I think I needed to hear it in that language, because otherwise we tend to think, oh, it's fine, I'm not influenced, I'm just being tolerant. But over time, yeah, you start to notice your standard slipping.
It's like leaving a white shirt next to a leaking ink pen. You won't notice at first, but eventually you've got a mess. That's why spiritual practitioners are told to seek sangha, association, with the wise, the selfless, the surrendered. And it's not about running from society. You can serve the world, work your job, raise your family, but internally, your compass has to point north. That's why the scriptures are so direct about demigod worship too.
Oh yeah, that bit caught my attention too. It almost sounded dismissive of other forms of devotion. It said people who worship demigods are still considered non-devotees. That feels controversial.
Yeah, it does ruffle feathers, but again, it's not about being anti-anyone. Here's the distinction. Devotion, in its highest form, is meant to be selfless and directed towards the source. The demigods, powerful as they are still within the material realm. They're administrators of karma. People worship them to get something, a job, health, a child, a spouse. That's transactional. It's like going to the CEO's assistant and asking for a raise. But devotion to Krishna, or the supreme personality of Godhead in any form, is about giving without expectation. It's not what you can get, it's what you can offer.
So, demigod worship isn't bad, it's just limited in its scope?
Exactly. It's a stage, and sometimes it's necessary. But if someone gets stuck there, they may never taste the sweetness of pure bhakti, devotion without agenda. And the Bhagavad Gītā confirms it. Those who worship demigods go to their planets, but those who worship the Supreme Lord go to him. It's like the difference between watching the moon's reflection in a puddle versus gazing at the full moon in the sky. One is partial and distorted, the other is whole and luminous.
I love that image. It's poetic. But it also makes me think, have I been settling for puddles in my own life?
We all have at some point. That's why these texts feel like a slap and a hug at the same time. They confront you, but only because they want to free you. Even something as symbolic as fasting on Ekadashi, it's not about deprivation, it's about discipline. You pause consumption to amplify consciousness. You spend that day remembering Govinda, hearing his names, reducing body identification. It's a spiritual hack, really.
You know what this all sounds like to me? It's not renunciation, it's refinement. Not escape, but alignment.
Beautifully put, and that's the heart of it. Even the act of offering water to a tulsi plant daily may seem small, but you're engaging your intention. You're turning an ordinary moment into sacred time. That's what this path is. It's not about changing the world, it's about changing the way you walk through it.
Arjun, I genuinely feel like something's shifted for me today. Like, this isn't about religion or rituals, it's about remembering what we've forgotten, that there's a deeper self waiting beneath all this noise.
Exactly, Maya. And once you touch that awareness, everything changes. You start to see your job not just as work, but service. Your speech becomes mindful. You honor silence. You become available to God, to truth, to transformation. And it's not always comfortable, but it's real, and it lasts.
I think I get it now. That whole line about giving up everything for Krishna's satisfaction, it's not about losing what you love. It's about losing the illusion that anything else can complete you.
Yes, yes. And when you surrender in that way, what you gain isn't less. It's more real, more lasting, more you. That's the real opulence of Vishnu Loka. It's not gold, it's clarity.
This conversation's gonna sit with me for a long time. Thank you, Arjun, for making it practical, human, not preachy.
It's been my joy, Maya. We're all on this path, stumbling, learning, getting back up. The important thing is to walk it, with eyes open, heart soft, and ego light.
You've just listened to a conversation not about giving up everything, but about gaining back yourself. We told you this wouldn't be just content, and it wasn't. You came in carrying questions about your life, your purpose, maybe even your inner exhaustion from trying to find peace in all the wrong places. And now, you've seen the mirror. You've seen what happens when you let go of noise to hold space for the sacred. So let's honor that shift. Share this with someone who came to mind, someone whose soul might be quietly craving the same clarity, not as content, as a gift. Comment below with your reflections, your questions, your own stories. This isn't a comment box. It's a sacred thread of shared experience. Your voice might be exactly what someone else needs to read. Like this video if something moves you. This isn't about algorithms. It's your signal to yourself that this message mattered. Subscribe to this channel, not out of habit, but out of intention. Join us, not just for more conversations, but for a deeper journey inward. This isn't the end. It's the beginning of a life that's finally yours.
Explore more reflections on love, surrender, and the divine. Watch the next video or subscribe for deeper journeys.
Love is not the end. It's the way.